else.
Hey guys, we're on the internet.
Damn it, Tom.
Mickey was texting or some shit, so I figured I'd
tweeting.
start the show. Tweeting, texting, it's the same.
It is.
Except, well, never mind. We'll just leave that alone. How's it going?
Yeah, it's been a while.
I've seen you since the last show, but we
Yeah.
haven't had a show in 2 weeks. And since then, there's actually been Sounders match play, which is amazing. It feels like it's been 900 years since Sounders. So, welcome. Episode 299, Big Week Energy.
I like that name.
I was at a
Very
loss
good.
for names, but it's all caps, and it's a pun. I'm going with it.
That works.
It's cool.
It works.
So we are here at the Berliner Pub in downtown Renton.
4th and Main.
With the usual peanut gallery over there eating things that I wish I could eat, but
Right.
literally none of them are keto, so I'm screwed.
I don't think they feel sorry for us either.
Ketchup, also not keto. No. Yeah. Anyway, so I am Tom Bureau, a.k.a. Bougie Hooli on the Twitters. To my left, your right.
Mickey Turner, Turner ESQ on the Twitters.
And again, this is episode 299, so next week we'll have to come up with a more witty name, I guess. I don't know.
I think that should be solicited to the peanut gallery.
We could do that. I mean, that's a good idea. So, ooh, wow. Tonight we are dining in hell. I think we've done that before, but it's still a good idea. Anyway, so by the time we are here next week, we will have played 2 more matches,
Yes.
which is crazy. So we've gone from, 0 to a zillion real quick. So tonight we'll talk a little bit about CCL in San Pedro Sula versus Olympia a couple days ago. We can talk about some prep for Thursday's non-home opener CCL match, and then Sunday's midday madness versus Chicago. I'm like, oh, wow, look, we can get hyped for noon on a Sunday versus Chicago and their trash logo.
Oh, my God. I saw their jerseys, and I think that the actual kits
are good.
Fine. They're pretty
Yeah,
good, but
the crest is
logo,
garbage.
The logo, it just doesn't even match with what they're trying to do with the kit, and yeah, it's not good. It's not good. But yeah, I think they get a little too much heat for the kit, but the logo just being so terrible.
The
just
kit's
kinda-
good.
Yeah.
Like no stress. So we should delve a little bit into we could trash talk some team logos and jerseys and sponsors like Miami. And I have to say, I didn't realize it till today because I hadn't looked at the rest of the league schedule, but I was sitting, I went to AC today for something, and they had a promo on for Sunday, and I didn't realize that it's because we're playing 3 o'clock Eastern, and then it's the run-in before the Inter-Miami first kick. So now I kind of get it. They're like, oh, take some existing teams that have been around for a minute and, warm up the day for the national broadcast for Inter Miami. So not at all surprised. Are we allowed to call them Inter Miami still? Are we being sued?
It's
I can't tell.
kind of up in the air at the moment. There's been no injunctions filed, so I think we will not get sued or get any strikes on YouTube.
No. Hope points out that they're selling Beckham jerseys, which, by the way, if that's a real thing, that's stupid as fucking hell.
Wow.
What's next? LAFC with Beckham jersey? Actually, that would probably happen, but that's a whole nother discussion.
I mean, that is wow if that's actually happening.
I'm gonna go get my Hanauer jersey tomorrow. I'm not doing that at all. Yeah, I got nothing. So, Nick says episode 300 has to be shirtless.
I don't think anybody needs to see that.
I think that's a hard no.
Yes.
In fact, I think the bar will
Yes.
just throw us out if we don't have shirts on. We could get those weird shirts with like, yeah. What was the show on? It's a Cartoon Network where the guy is like this Elvis wannabe dude, but he has kind of like wears sunglasses.
Oh, I know
and
you're
has blonde hair.
Johnny. Yeah, something or other.
Johnny Bravo.
Yeah.
Like Johnny Bravo shirts. That would be cool. We could do that. I'm not doing that, but we could do that. Anyway, no comment. Oh yeah, JJ, good call. Cameraless. We'll just go straight audio next week.
Yes.
You know what? We'll just point the camera at like the fire pit. And
It'd be very soothing and relaxing.
Everybody at home will be like, "Oh, it's like the fire at Christmas," which, by the way, is the best Netflix shit ever. That and the Little Bub version. Little Bub just sits there and like purrs in front of the fire.
I've not heard of any of this stuff.
And just moves her. Do you know what a Little Bub is?
No.
Have you been on the internet?
No. Yeah.
Are you the real Mickey Turner?
Yeah. How would I know what that is?
If you were a millennial, you would know.
I'm not a millennial.
Yeah. Anyway, so we got a bunch of things I think to talk about tonight. We could, pregame or prep for a couple of the matches this week.
Yeah.
Let's talk about last week. Frankly, we can just talk about CCL in general, which was actually
Insane.
pretty fun.
Yeah.
It's like if you had a lead, unless you were NYCFC, even then they let up a bunch of goals.
They still try to give it up.
You let up a lot of goals.
Yeah, it was so much fun. In that tournament, it's actually always entertaining because there's always nonsense that happens. It's just that MLS teams always lose, and then you lose interest by the semifinals, or they make it to the finals and get their hearts broken.
It's like a whole lot of draws, a whole lot of boots to the chest, but a lot of goals.
Yeah, it's been very entertaining. I don't know what to say about. I mean, all the MLS teams have a chance, I guess, except for LAFC. They're kind of.
They were not good.
Yeah, they weren't good.
They sent a lot of people, so shouts to LAFC.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't actually care if you gave 500 people in Mexico an LAFC jersey. Y'all packed a section. So good on them for a 4-digit number of people.
Yeah, it was very, very impressive. And you could absolutely hear them.
Totally.
Over the broadcast. So they show it out, and you got to absolutely give them credit. And unfortunately, it looks like their last road appearance in the CCL because I don't think they're going to get by Leon.
Definitely going to lose at Red Bull Arena. They're going to give up 96 road goals.
Yeah. No. Well, see, now who has the more attendance, the LAFC away section or that NYCFC game?
NYCFC at Red Bull Arena.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the LAFC away section.
I mean, obviously
it's going to be bad.
We're half joking, but
is it tomorrow?
Tomorrow? Yeah, I think
Wednesday?
So.
Yeah,
I think it's tomorrow. We can check, but I feel sorry for them, sort of. But I guess that's what you get for not having a stadium situation resolved before you come into the league. Say what you will about the teams in big stadiums, of which we are obviously one.
They play Wednesday.
Yeah. Oh, Wednesday. Okay, but they have a place to play during the season. And when you're a second tenant in a baseball stadium, you kind of run the risk of that happening. And the worst part about that was that not only was Yankee Stadium not available, Shea Stadium was not available. There are really no other suitable
Citi Field.
Yeah.
Just call it Shea. It's fine.
It shows you how much I pay attention to baseball these days. And then none of the other stadiums in New York proper are really suitable for soccer. There's a couple that are smaller, but they didn't pass. One of them didn't pass CONCACAF standards.
I was just surprised they didn't play at like one of the college spots or like
a couple.
Wouldn't like Columbia or something like that like let you play there? I don't know.
I don't think it was. That's maybe have been the one that was not suitable for CONCACAF standards. Yeah. One of them was not.
By the way, I've traveled to away stadiums for
I know where you're going with this.
CCL and other things. Are you serious? Because what took the stadium in Tegucigalpa not being able to be used was the stands, which are just like this table high from the ground, like steps, like in the end that we were in 2015, physically separated from the rest of the building. Like, we didn't have lights in a section, and the like lower areas near the road, near the street, were just flooded out completely, and they still let us in the stadium. So it had to be like, I don't know, an earthquake hit the building before it was not available.
Yeah, I don't know if it was like the
it might also be like stands can't be on one side or like it has to be on
It's
both.
both.
Like there's all sorts of things.
And the seating capacity.
Because I've seen
not
that for US
NYCFC
Open Cup
will
as well,
meet that.
where there's been a couple places
Oh,
where
yeah.
like, oh, that's a perfectly acceptable place to put it, but they don't have physically enough stands, or they can't separate home and away fans, or whatever the heck it is. So, who knows?
Yeah, the bottom line is it's not going to be a pretty sight, most likely. And I think the NYCFC supporters are boycotting the game anyway. So that's going to make it, including the natural barrier, which causes New Yorkers never to want to go into New Jersey.
You know what it is, though? It's because they've been watching the new Amazon Hunters show, and there are Nazis being attacked on it, and they want to avoid that. So
that could be a problem.
That's really what they're going for. But anyway, no comment further than that. But I don't. It's been fun to watch, and I would say wow, was that Thursday already? That's so many days ago that we had that match.
Oh, yes.
So we had a good time at Fuel.
Yeah, there's a good turnout.
To watch an Olympia match. Pretty good turnout. People had a great time. I think it's like the third time I've done anything in the upstairs area at Fuel. Normally it's like you go there for lunch with Sounders or something, like a business meeting kind of thing. But we had like a pretty good group up there. We sang some fun songs. We sang Joao Paulo's new song, which you'll see in the section on Thursday of this week, which is a good time. No, it was a lot of fun. Jordan Morris, wow,
He appears to be pretty good.
Decent player. He's okay. Joao Paulo also looks to be a pretty good player.
Yeah, I mean, and just on Joao Paulo, I think we were here after the week after the closed door scrimmage against Sacramento, and I was talking about, wow, he was really good. They put up some highlights of some passing that he did, and he wasn't even playing in his natural position, and was fantastic. And
so what you're saying is Sounders actually have like a backup 10?
I think they do.
Yeah.
I think they do.
Because that guy's a destroyer, and he played the 10, and it was good.
Really good.
You did see, though, and this is where injuries come into play, the energy level changed once, again, this isn't criticism of Alex Roldan or Danny Leyva, like, you could see the difference, though, when they made those subs late in the game. There did appear to be a little bit of tiredness.
Oh, I think that I would say it was like 75% fatigue.
Yeah.
And then 25% just,
well, but think about it. You take out a guy who's a destroyer, and then you put in a 16-year-old kid who's good.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day. Like, it's not
and he had a good game.
Criticism of him, who was fine. It was a different game after that.
Yeah.
Which is what it is. But ultimately, like, you go to Central America, you don't lose. You play a team who you've played before that doesn't like you
and likes to
from
play
half a continent
some
away,
questionable tactics.
Who wants to kick you in the chest. And again, Stefan Fry doesn't complain about a lot of things. Again, he yells at his own defenders for not doing things properly. Yeah. I don't remember the last time I saw Steph like intentionally go to a ref to complain about something like at length.
I feel like the last time was probably that Kansas City penalty that he gave up about 5 years ago when I think
5 years ago.
Yeah, Marufo.
Wasn't for that?
I'm not entirely clear.
No one is really sure.
Yeah.
I think it may have just been either he said something or some sort of dissent.
I assumed it was dissent.
Yeah.
I mean, that just seemed like the most. But it did appear that it may have been something else. But
who knows? Like all of a sudden,
it
Twitter
doesn't really
is like,
matter at the
Fry
end of the day.
Yellow, and we're like, he did? Like, when did that happen? All in all, though, solid game. I feel pretty good about Thursday. Seeing Olympia again. I mean, we could talk about Schmetz and a couple of other things that we talked about offline before the show started. But I think Ladero's maybe playing?
I would say that is...
Maybe?
40-60.
Okay, 40-60. All right.
Just because he was at training today, did participate in some of the first part of training, but didn't go through like the full team exercises. And they trained for like 2 hours today.
Yeah.
He was not a participant in that full session, so I tend to say he's doubtful for Thursday. But they've got training tomorrow and Wednesday, so those are the real days that when they start implementing tactics and put the starting lineup out there. So we'll know probably Wednesday, and he'll probably rule him in or out.
Well, so
at
let's
that point
maybe dive
anyway.
in a little bit into training today. So you were out there this morning,
Yeah.
right? Anything else other than Ladero's absence or non-participation in parts of that?
Oh yeah, we learned that Ship's illness was the full-blown flu, so not just like food poisoning or just a cold. He was down for the count.
Did you ask him if he got a flu shot this winter?
I did not. You should get a flu shot, although it may be too late now.
Might not.
I guess it never hurt. Yeah, it's fair. But Ship was out there training today. He got through the full session as far as I could tell, so he seems to be fine. I think it was just one of those things that just bad timing. And Svensson was out there. He was fully off to the side, so I would say he's highly unlikely to play. Highly unlikely to play on.
I mean, that's a big
Thursday.
gap there.
But
again, no Ladero, no Svensson.
Yep.
But Ship back does change some of the subs
Yeah,
and some of the other
they
things.
probably
even if he's just in the 18.
Yeah, assuming he's fine and recovers fully, I would expect he's going to start at the 10, and then they can move João Paulo back to his normal position, and then they can move Roldan out to the wing. Although maybe they bring him back in the midfield and do some other switching around. But aside from that, it was pretty. Again, this was their first session back here at Starfire in 3 weeks, essentially, because they've been gone. So it was a good session. Like I said, it was very long, and there were a couple of Yarmar wasn't there, but I think that's visa related. So I expect he's going to be back here in the next day or so.
Okay.
So I think that was all the interesting stuff from training.
So we talked a little bit about Schmetz.
Yeah, who was also
not
under the
feeling
weather.
great.
Yeah, he also caught a little something, but I think he was out training obviously today.
Okay.
So just one of those unfortunate
We should
things.
expect to see him in a couple of days.
Yeah, we should expect to see him on Thursday, unless he takes a turn for the worse. Let's knock on wood. Hope that doesn't happen.
So I know we talked a little bit while watching the game on Thursday, but what else popped out to you that was relevant, interesting, important?
Oh, I mean, a lot of their problems just had to do with fatigue, it seemed like to me. I mean, that seemed like the overriding issue. I mean, they were training at altitude and they were coming down to the humidity. So I think there's the elements. I don't know. We don't have anybody here who went to San Pedro Sula.
We're 23.
Well, I mean, in here
down there. Not that's here right now.
So I'm
Hope
not.
and Eric, who are usually here, are not, but they were down there.
Yeah.
People had a good time.
Yeah, and just as far as the elements were concerned, it wasn't like outrageous as far as temperature was concerned, but just going through those different changes in temperature is just going to affect you a little bit. And so we asked them at training like what they thought contributed to the losing the 2-goal lead, and they said most of it was just being the first game of the season.
Yeah.
And just not being fully fit, and they were, with the schedule the way that it is, like the MLS schedule, they're just never going to be at the level of Liga MX teams or
different animal
or Honduran league teams.
They're cranking away. Whether you think they're better or worse as quality of play goes, they're in the middle of their season.
Yes.
Like it's just a different animal.
Yeah, Olympias was 8 games in, and you're just not going to be as fit, and you're going to run out of steam. And that happened to every MLS team. I guess LAFC wasn't really ever in the game, so it was kind of hard to gauge where they were at. But Montreal lost the lead. NYCFC gave up a ton of goals, and then the Sounders obviously lost a couple of goal lead as well. And that's what they said was the primary contributor to losing the goals, because it wasn't any there wasn't any glaring flaw that caused them to lose the game. It was just maybe you miss an assignment, you don't mark somebody, just stuff that you kind of you work into as the season goes along.
Sorry, I was going to say something back to Hope.
Oh, but so it sounds like Yamar will be back in the next day or so, and one of the little birdies in the chat says he's in Guatemala, and that's what I'd also heard, that he was in Guatemala, and I assume that's related to getting his visa. I'm
going to guess that Arboleda is going to get a pretty harsh welcome
yes.
at CenturyLink Field on Thursday. And then probably every time he touches the ball.
Yeah.
Which is funny because you can probably count on one hand how many times that's happened. And it's like really specific players.
Yeah.
And it's like someone from Kansas City, someone from Dallas, like
Colorado.
Yeah, there have been
Yes.
that one guy in Colorado. That's gonna be interesting to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, it's really galling from the Sounders' perspective because he's obviously the guy shouldn't have been on the field, should have been out of the game, and he scores the 2 goals to keep them in the game.
I mean,
it's
there's
just,
that,
yeah.
and then I forget who had posted it. I don't know if it was in Prensa or something else, but there was another photo of them playing against another team, and someone had the boot in like almost the identical spot, and they were like, "Well, maybe that's just how Olympia plays." They're just like kicking you in the chest. I don't know. I don't think I remember ever seeing Steph being like, no, I'm going to show you the physical bruise on my body. Like, that's just not very him, to me. Like, he's going to hold his own, and he may take a ref out here and there. But he's like, no, like, he actually kicked me in the chest, I don't know. It was not.
No, it was
not great.
Yeah, and he'll be, Arboleda will be there, presumably. They did have lost a couple of other players, though, which is they've lost both of their center backs, or maybe, the left back and their center back, and their team captain. So that's obviously going to cause some issues for them, personnel-wise.
So maybe a couple questions here. What's the deal with how cards accumulate? Because we're not in group stage kind of stuff like it was years and years ago where you went that round robin.
My understanding...
I mean, that was a lot of cards.
Yeah.
Like 6? Was it 6, I think?
I'd have to take a look at...
It was at least 6. Yeah. Including the benches.
Oh, right. Yeah. My understanding is that they clear after the semifinal round, so you've got a long way to go.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Before... I mean, it's not...
No, but...
It's not a massive tournament. It's not the NCAA basketball tournament or anything like that, but... you're pretty much once you get the first one, you got to be on your best behavior until you make the final.
And that's where again it's CONCACAF. So Stephen Fry having a card, not happy about that.
It is. You've got to say it's concerning because you never know when they're gonna do a yellow for time wasting.
Yeah,
and then you've lost your keeper for maybe the quarterfinals.
Cool,
or the semifinals for that matter.
I mean, we just riot in general. Yeah. There was a comment about VAR. I think, Adam, that's what you're saying. Wasn't there VAR for the America game? Is there any?
I did not see that. I didn't watch. America played, I think, Comunicaciones.
Yeah.
But would they have had VAR
I don't know,
at Guatemala, at their stadium?
I guess it seems weird, though, because I didn't think this would be the case, but I've been paying attention to a lot of like FA Cup and Carabao Cup, like that stuff, and they do actually sometimes have VAR and sometimes not. So like you're playing like third division side or something, you don't have VAR, but then if you're playing at Anfield, you have VAR. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense at all.
It doesn't.
So I wonder if there is just like place to place to place where it does vary.
Could be.
It just again, having now been to a handful of places and watched CCL matches. I mean, a really interesting thing for me is they changed the scoreboards dramatically. So it's a lot of like Scotiabank advertising, and there's no stats like anywhere. And I think it's because there's like a minimum or like a bar.
Yeah, you've got to have the Chiron
level.
Yes, yeah.
And above that doesn't matter. So like in the north end of CenturyLink, we have those boards where it's usually like away match scores and, who's won duels or corners or whatever the heck it is. Speaking of which, we should talk about corners for a second. But that seems to be a thing where they don't show that in the stadium, which is really, really interesting because it does change how you like experience a match. Like you're used to at home being like, you can look up and be like, oh, we have 63% possession. Like that's interesting. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's like nothing. It's like I know that there is a match and that this is the score and that Scotiabank
may or may not know how much time's left in the game.
Maybe. That and then like on TV, I was actually, Fox Sports does do this. I haven't seen it as much on BN and some of the other channels, but they count down the added time, which is super interesting. It's
I
like
did not pay
+4,
attention to that
and
at
you
all.
can actually see the time count off, and I'm like, I know the players can't see it, obviously,
Yeah.
but it's interesting at home to be able to like see that go by. But digging into corners, I guess they didn't really like focus on it for a while, but then like at one point I looked up and it was 13 to 1.
13 to 1. Yeah, it was
That's
absolutely
a lot.
Yeah.
Like, and for Sounders to be that far off just feels really, really atypical. And I don't want to blame CONCACAF, and like it's real easy to like poke fun.
Yeah.
But that's a dramatic difference. And I don't know if that's just style of play or whatever it was, but like 13 to 1.
I would. Well, how many how many crosses did they whip in? It was like a 10 to 1 difference between the two teams, and you whip in that many crosses, a bunch are going to head it out for corners. So I think it was down to the tactics that Olympia employed, which was basically be physical and whip in a bunch of crosses and see what happens, because I don't think they thought they could play with the Sounders on a technical level. And they didn't score directly off any of those corners, but they were effective in pinning the Sounders back, and so that's almost as good. But I don't know how that's going to be, if that will be as effective at CenturyLink Field, especially if they're down a couple of their
well, again,
top players.
Home field is a thing.
Yeah.
We all know that. And that's actually what's super fun about like global soccer. And that's like, again, talking about FA Cup and some of those other things. Like you go play these like 3rd, 4th division teams and you lose as like an EPL side. Not even because you played kids or whatever. It's just, the pitch is narrow.
Yeah.
It's dirt.
Yeah, the
and,
field.
like, everyone in the stadium hates you.
And as you said, it's not exclusively because you play a bunch of kids, but there's usually some rotation in there in those games, and that has some impact too.
But this I would say, injuries aside, that was a pretty good lineup.
Oh yeah, the Sounders put
for
out
Sounders the other night.
That's a lineup that would make the playoffs in MLS, especially with knowing now what João Paulo brings. If you had to play him, you don't want to play him at the 10 for the entire season, obviously. But if he were to have to do that, at least it's good to know that they've got someone who can do something of an approximation of what Nico does. And that's going to be important during this, early parts of the summer when the international tournaments kick up and the Sounders are going to be down 8 or 9 players. And Nico's more likely than not will be one of them. And, again, I think it's interesting to see how the Sounders' philosophy starts to evolve into not going after a bunch of guys who are on their national team's roster, because João Paulo is obviously not going to see Brazil.
Brutalizes their team.
Yeah,
like, you can't be down 10 people for 2 months of your season. Like it's just not sustainable.
No, it's
especially in years like this. Well, I mean, if you're going to have some of the Central South American players, sometimes it works out. But if you're going to have European players in a year like this, like that's terrible.
Yeah. Well, and a guy like Gustav Svensson, who was not in his national team's picture until he got here, that's just
weird.
That's just kind of one of those things. He played well and made his way back into the picture. Same thing happened with Brad Smith. Yeah, but I mean, that's not something you can necessarily plan for.
For sure.
If you're picking up someone like Svensson, you don't necessarily think, not that Sweden is Spain or anything, but you don't necessarily expect that a guy like that's going to, especially at his age. That was the other thing. He didn't come in at like a 23-year-old. He was 30, 31 when he came to the Sounders.
Yeah.
And somehow, again, which is great for him, but obviously has had some impact on the Sounders. So back to the original point is, it'll be interesting to the extent that they can mitigate that. It would be interesting to see if they decide to go shopping for players who who are kind of on the fringes of the national team, or just have no realistic shot of making it, and start trying to pick up a few more of those players. Because as you said, it's not sustainable to lose that many players, and it's going to happen again this year. And so they're going to be relying on their depth pieces to try to get them through.
But if you have a bunch of 15 to 18-year-olds who are pretty good, it's actually really funny. Again, not that Sounders are Liverpool, current or past. That first time Liverpool didn't didn't play their starting lineup in one of the tournament
Carabao Cup.
right?
Yeah,
And
they got housed.
lost,
Yeah.
right. They played a pretty similar lineup that last match.
Yeah.
That was like the rescheduled or whatever that was.
Yeah,
FA
against West
Cup,
Ham.
right?
No, it was West Ham, I think.
Was it FA?
No, I think it's a regular season game.
Whatever. Oh, that's right. It was just midweek. Didn't work out.
Yeah.
Klopp's like, nope. Also, I'm not going to attend.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, because they were on their
But they played
winter
the
break.
kids. The kids were really good.
Yeah.
And, I think if Sounders can keep doing what they're doing, like, again, Danny Leva, Sam Rogers, whoever these players of the future are, like, keep them coming, give them minutes, like, it's great. I think the trick is just finding the balance between, like, players are away once in a blue moon to players are away for a 3-week period where you want to win some of these matches.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to be a little crazy.
Well, actually, and I guess we can talk about this because speaking of the young kids and the Defiance guys, in Smetzer's conference call last week, he mentioned he ID'd 3 players that were likely. I wouldn't say likely, but the Sounders were eyeing three Defiance players to sign for the 2020 season. And he didn't name the names, but the conventional wisdom is that it was Atencio, Hopiao, and Sam Rogers, the center back. None of those 3 was at training today. Chris Haggard, I think, is the academy kid. He was at training today, probably to make up the numbers because they were a little light on the depth side of things. So we asked Smetzer if they had made a decision yet, and he said not yet, and they're not in a rush to sign those 3 players. Although he would, if he thinks that he could use them, he would be happy to sign them. I thought it was interesting that none of the 3 was there today. I somewhat suspect that they're going through the paces to get signed. I don't have any other information for that. It's possible. I don't think that they were at the Defiance.
What the hell, Mickey? Come on.
I know. I apologize. I'm just going off kind of supposition and deduction.
Just make stuff up.
Yeah, that would go over
That's
well.
cool.
But I think they like both of them. He praised those 3 players as having done a good job. And they still only have 3 center backs on the roster, 3 full-time center backs, and Svensson's injured. But even if he wasn't, he's obviously the 4th or emergency center back. And
Brad Evans is around now.
Yeah,
just bring him back.
That's also true.
That's cool.
So I'm curious. They are short a number of roster spots, not like short to the point where they don't have enough players,
right.
But they have a number of players that they could sign, and so I think they're going to sign at least 2 of them, but it's not like they're going to play for the first team at this point.
Yeah,
they're going to be with the Defiance for probably half the season.
Yeah, but like I'd almost rather they just make those decisions and then have the kids play for Defiance and then move back and forth, just to be able to get a little bit of that experience. And frankly, even from a training perspective, it's different. Even if they smurge the 2 teams together from what they're doing at Starfire, having seen that at first practice and some other times, like I don't know. I just think it's beneficial at the end of the day. And like I'm a Shandon stan over here. I'm hopeful
I do
for
like
that
his
guy.
game,
Yeah, just like I think since day 0 have enjoyed his game, and but I would say kind of the same conversation we had about Sam Rogers per Schmetz's comments a few weeks ago. He's probably in that same situation where it's like, you've been here a hot minute.
Yeah.
It's funny
and that
to
applies
think about
to
how
Hopiao, too.
long some of these players have been around. It's like you brought up Fry. I was like, wait, so Fry 2016 MLS Cup, that was 3 years to the day since he had been traded to Sounders. I'm like,
yeah, did he come in
that's
2013?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was so long ago.
Yeah, 7 years or 6.5 years.
Like that went really, really fast.
Yeah.
And if you think about just MLS era Sounders, he's been here a long time.
Yes. Well, he's obviously the longest tenured Sounders,
which is crazy.
player.
Yeah.
and it'll have been now 2 years since Ozzy has left. So that's firmly in the rear view mirror. And and he has shown no signs of slowing down.
No.
So
he might be invincible.
Yeah, but what's the saying that keepers can play until they're if you're a high quality
for sure
you can play until your late 30s. And Romano just retired.
And it
stood on his head in his last game.
He also had like early career injuries, like multiple times, and it's almost like some of those minutes not wearing on his body has allowed him to like mature into it and just stick around for good at this point. But then again, like we've seen 43-year-old keepers in the EPL, you know, like it happens.
Gigi Buffon's still playing, isn't he?
Actually, didn't he go back?
Yeah,
like that's.
I thought he was with the PSG.
Like,
or
you
something
retired.
Like that. Yeah,
quote unquote. But
he's clearly got another 3 or 4 years, which presents an interesting conundrum for Trey Muse. Not that Muse is ready to step in.
That's not even his name. I can't call him Trey.
Why not?
Didn't you see that the chart that came out with all the
yes.
CCL names? Yeah, I'm actually going to start making 2 polls with those names for people on it. Like Nico Ladero's first name is not Nico. I'm upset about this. I'm angry online.
It was shocking. Absolutely shocking. But yeah, so Muse isn't going to be, he's not ready to be on the first team full time anyway. Which is kind of unlike Tyler Miller.
We've got another Stefan.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
true.
okay.
Yeah. But it's kind of interesting to see, how long do they wait? Tyler Miller, obviously he was ready to start.
Right.
And so that's, why they got rid of him for nothing really. They could have held up LAFC or tried to, but that was an expansion year. So, again, Muse isn't going anywhere anytime soon. He's probably got another 3 years before he's even ready, and that's fine if he's fine with that kind of development path. But it's just interesting to see a guy who's like got 4 or 5 years before he's ready to hang him up.
Yeah,
and I don't see why the Sounders would let him go anytime soon within, say, the next 3 years.
I mean, it's Sounders, so they will definitely bring back Brian Meredith. Because that's how that works.
Well, that may have been the dumbest transaction in the league this year. The Inter Miami drafts him in the expansion draft and then trades him to Vancouver for nothing, for less than the $50K in allocation that the Sounders got as having someone pilfered from the expansion draft. Yeah, that was just. I don't know what the point of that was, but whatever.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at Hope. Hope's like, I can't believe you haven't been on Nico's Wikipedia page.
Is that something we
Sorry? My bad, I guess? Anyway.
But so they've got, they're training all week, with the exception of Thursday, obviously, for the game. So they'll get in a lot of training. And then they have media day on Friday, which should be a absolute scene.
Are you trading me your media match?
I haven't got confirmation I'm in, so we'll have to wait and see.
I have to email them about something tomorrow. In fact, I have a meeting with Sounders tomorrow. I'm going to sandbag my way into this game. I'm doing it. I'm just going to show up, see what happens.
I'm sure that's entirely possible because they've got, it's a day after a game, so it's not like the training session is going to be particularly heavy.
Yeah.
But they are going to train at CenturyLink on Friday, and then they'll do all the media day stuff, and then the media game, as I said, should be an absolute scene. It sounds like there's 60 participants in that.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of people.
That's actually too many subs.
Yeah. Well, last year they had, I want to say, probably in the range of about 40 or so, which is still a lot. That's almost four
like I
four
coach
sides.
a rec team on Wednesdays, and when we have like 18, it's annoying.
Yeah.
Like everyone wants minutes. Yeah. Everyone plays forward.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about last year, or painful depending on how in or out of shape you were, is the game was a full 90 minutes and it was a full field on CenturyLink turf.
Yeah, that's why he got smoked by Adrian Hanauer. He's like, what?
Yeah. But it was just, there was actually no problem with people getting minutes because, half of those media guys can barely run up the stairs, let alone on the field. And I included myself in that at the time. But, and they were just doing shifts, basically. It was basically like hockey lines. just coming in and out.
It's actually,
whenever
by the
there's
way,
stop
the
off.
best thing at Pub League.
Yeah, it's great.
Is
It's great.
when you have just the right amount of players that you sub everyone at the same time. Also, people are drunk.
Yeah, well, that will not happen this time around, unfortunately. But
I mean, wait, you don't think anyone at the media game is still going to be drunk from the night before?
but from the game
I
before, that
disagree.
is entirely possible.
Especially if it's like a barn burner. Like 5-2 Sounders, y'all are getting lit.
Well, the problem is you got deadlines you got to hit for stories, and so it's like 11 o'clock before you're going to leave. Oh God, because the game starts at 7 or 7:30. 7, right?
7.
7, yeah. So with all the nonsense, you're not even out of there until 9:30, and then
And then you get a hot dog. Well,
Yeah,
you don't,
yeah.
but I do.
Yeah.
Then you get a hot dog outside the stadium, and then you post funk, and then you somehow get home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass again for a Southsiders or South Sounders.
Don't say Southsider.
Yes.
That's not you.
Yeah.
Unless
Yeah.
you've moved to Vancouver.
I have not
recently.
But it's the last bus leaves going south is like 11, so it only gives you like an hour to really do anything. Or you can take the light rail, but then that's like a 2-hour ordeal.
You could take like a $60 Uber.
Ugh,
It's
yeah,
cool.
No, that is a
Have you ever
hard
done that
pass.
before? Have you ever taken an Uber before?
Yes, I have. I actually one time took an Uber from after it was late night, and I was just going to take it to Tukwila, and then I was just going to light rail the rest of the way. But the Uber driver felt bad for me and took me from Tukwila to my house in Federal Way. It didn't charge me for the second part of the
pretty
trip.
nice.
Yeah, that was great. I clearly got 5 stars, and a nice compliment.
You were like, I picked the coolest little gem, and then like gave a tip and wrote a comment.
Oh yeah, I definitely hooked him up because obviously he didn't have to do that. But
Carrie wants to know what your shortest Uber distance is.
That is a very deep cut, Carrie.
It is a deep cut. It's actually not that deep, but it's amazing.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
We'll have to say that one for Wino Away.
Wino Away, Toronto.
Yeah. What date is that?
It's late in the year.
Are you sure? I thought it was relatively
July,
soon.
August. I don't know.
Actually, I think it's July. I think it's like mid
July, August. That's a long time from now.
Yeah,
Although
that's
we
fair.
do have like a 4-week period with no home Sounders,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure what we're all going to do during that time period.
I feel like
So,
a bonfire should happen for one of those away
that's a good
games.
idea. You could tell Larry, who might be watching,
Yeah.
that's when we should have a bonfire.
I think do that for one of the away games.
So you'd like to build a bonfire.
I'll do another one.
Mickey would like 10 more. Anyway, Toronto, good call. So we talked a fair amount about last week, a little bit about this week, and some training stuff. Anything else popping out to you for kind of first kick coming up this weekend, either for Sounders or for other things you pay attention to?
For the Sounders, we asked him about the roster because I think that's obviously a big talking point going into the weekend, because they've got with the Thursday game and short turnaround. It's not so much this last game that's a problem. It's just going Thursday to Sunday, which is what Spencer said. He wished they obviously would have scheduled the game for Tuesday or Wednesday and spread them out evenly and given them plenty of time, because that's going to make it
That would
difficult.
have made sense,
Yes.
though.
It would, yeah. I mean, they just got screwed. The short end of the stick, so to speak. So, he said he's going to play his strongest lineup on Thursday, and then he'll play his strongest possible lineup on Sunday. I don't necessarily believe that, because that is
What's strongest possible is a good modifier.
Yes, it
'cause You're
is.
like, who's really tired?
yeah,
Not that person.
and it's a problem because you don't have probably Nico.
But maybe you get Nico Sunday.
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, he was out there running around, so maybe they try to get him 60 minutes on Sunday, and then maybe something along the lines with Svensson. I think you're less concerned about having a replacement for Svensson because Dellum, he played fine.
I have to tell you, talk about like player that at the beginning of their career, their Sounders career, a lot of people were like, meh,
Yeah,
like myself included. Now I'm like, oh no, yeah, put that guy out there.
yeah. We talk. We have a Sounder hard Slack, and there's a bit. He's the subject of a bit of an argument.
What's your login?
I actually can't remember. I just saved on my Apple on my computer, but there's a bit of a disagreement on how good / effective Dellum is, and I happen to think he's an above average MLS defensive midfielder.
Has
now,
turned
that's
into a really
yeah.
solid player.
Solid player. He's not going to make a best 11. He's not going to get a move abroad, most likely. He still has some deficiencies. I'd say his passing, like not his diagonal passing has actually gotten pretty good. He's been able to spray it out to the wings pretty well. He's just not. He doesn't have the incisive, through ball that's going to unlock the defense.
But you really don't need it. Like if you have him out there with Christian or Goose or like a couple of the other players that like can hold it down from a defensive mentality mindset, that's fine. Like you just need somebody who's strong enough to like go up against anyone. Like there was definitely a point where the forward X rolls up on him, and I was fearful that he was just going to get smoked. I don't feel that way anymore.
No, I think my always concern with him was that he, in his early years, was a red card waiting to happen because he would, I don't think he was necessarily as good reading the game, and so he was late in challenges.
That's Nuhu now.
Yeah,
red card waiting to happen. He's either goal or red card.
Even Nuhu's gotten better at that, but when he was first here, he was, oh my god, everyone calls him a freight train, and that is an accurate description.
Totally.
And he's not nearly that dangerous or reckless now.
JJ brings up decision making is suspect for Dellum, and I would agree with that.
Yeah,
but I don't fear him on the field. And there was a point where I was like, no, don't make that sub.
Yeah,
and I don't feel that way anymore.
Absolutely. So that is, I think. I think people like his game because he is very athletic. He can, he can mark. He's marked, Almiron out of a game before. So he's got that.
He marked him all the way to Newcastle.
Yeah. That's very.
How's that going? Actually, it's going pretty well.
Yeah, he's doing pretty well. Yeah, he's on Newcastle, so there's only so much you can expect.
He gets a lot more minutes than another Newcastle player that we know.
Yeah, maybe he wants to come back.
Yeah,
now that's not happening. So Dellum, I think people complain that maybe he gets overrated or hyped up a little bit too much, and I don't think hyped up's not the right word, but just
that might be extreme.
Yeah, I think it's just people impute more qualities than he has and think he's maybe better than other people say he is.
I don't know.
Like you say he has a good game, and people are like, "Oh my god, why are people talking so great about?"
But it's not like you're picking him over other people.
No, yeah, that's right.
Consistently, you're picking him because he's a solid player.
Yeah.
And by the way, everybody in your starting lineup doesn't need to be a first 11.
Yeah, MLS and that's not going to happen.
And unfortunately, that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
you're not Barca. Bummer. Yeah. Move on.
And even if you were, you're not going to have a second starting 11 to fill in for when those guys get injured. So
I mean, if you are Barca, though, you can transfer in players for millions of dollars outside of the window because you had too many injuries.
Yes. I can't wait for the Galaxy to try to pull that.
Dude,
one of these
that
years.
shit is definitely going to happen.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, oh, we're down 3 defenders. Let's go get Virgil.
Yeah.
Like some stupid thing. But anyway.
So Dellum, he's done a good job, and I think he will be fine to step in if Svensson's ready. And there's really no reason to rush him because of that. So I would say that Svensson's highly unlikely to play on Thursday because again,
thanks.
How did I get roped into this spritey goodness?
Now you don't have scurvy.
Yeah. There's no reason to rush Svensson back. Dellum can do the job there. He can pair if they get either Nico or Ship to play the 10, then you can move Giampaolo back a line and let him kind of do his thing from a deeper lying position, which I think is where he'd like to play. And then you can move Roldan back to the wing. Roldan didn't really have a great game on there.
But that's again effectively new position for him. He's played all of the positions, and he and Nico easily run the longest distance per match every match. It's a different animal for him on this team. I'm not stressed out about that. Let's let him lean into it and see what happens. Yeah. Random, while we're talking about Joao Paulo, is he going to take corners? Because his corners were pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what he's renowned for, or one of the things he's renowned for. That would be, that's kind of just a political thing, really, in that, the guy who is your captain is, typically the one who takes the corners.
Yeah, but, I mean...
But...
Except when it's Stephen Fry.
Yes.
But honestly, if you have Ship, Paulo, and Nico, or even two of them out there at any given time, Ship and João Paulo should be taking the corners. I'm sorry, Nico.
Yeah, I think, again, that's just kind of a political thing just to, tell Nico, you're off corners now, because we've got a couple of guys.
How's that going to go?
Yeah. Well, there you go. Not particularly well, but he's to be fair, Nico's a team guy, and there's not been any evidence that he's
not
ever
selfishly taking corners or whatever. And to be clear, his dead ball, like his free kicks out and around the area are dirty.
Yeah,
his corners. Sorry, Hope. Hope's like 10% of all Sounders goals were scored off Nico corners. And I'm like, the Sounders didn't actually score that many goals, but that's just my opinion. Sorry. I don't know.
I would say this.
I just think it changes the situation to have 2+ players that can take free kicks or corners.
Yeah. And, we'll see her shortly. And there's a good case to be made that, Zhao should be taking the corners at this point.
Or as JJ says, as a target head. I mean, there's no Chad Marshall out there now, so we're half a season past that.
I mean...
No him, no Roman. Like, you're going to notice that on corners. You're like, oh, everyone's 5'10".
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
interesting.
They are a pretty short team right now.
Yeah.
I mean, well, not... they don't have that big thumping.
Right, you don't have a couple 6-footers all the time.
Yeah, because, they've got... their midfield is pretty solid with Svensson and Lernham's not short, and Nuhu's a pretty big guy. Dellum and Morris are also pretty stout, as it were. But they just don't have that the 6'3" aerial presence, and so that's going to probably that's probably what the thing I would look for the most if
that's DP4 in the summer window
or. Yeah, I was actually hoping they would get the guy from Colorado. What's his name? Axel Schulberg, 6'7", back. He's
really tall.
Yeah, he's really tall, and he was a best 11 player, I think, in his second year,
yeah.
and then fell off. But that could have been due to his.
He played
Fraser,
in Colorado.
Colorado, and Fraser didn't rate him really. So I was hoping they would go after him, but they'll just have to. We'll see what happens this, as the season progresses, if it becomes a major problem. Because it was kind of a problem at points last year with Kim Ki-hee and Arriaga. I mean, I specifically remember the New England game, where they had a couple of goals that were scored off set pieces or through crosses into the middle of the box.
Well, because that's the part you have to think about is it works the other way too.
Yes.
You need some slightly larger players on defensive corners. So.
Yeah, and they're.
But good call, Lisa. Yamar 6'2". I have to tell you, he's gonna follow in the fan favorite defender category because he doesn't fucking care. He's gonna rough people up, and it is amazing.
Yeah, he absolutely will, and. Schmetzer said that he sometimes turns away from the challenges he makes because I think if you watch the highlight video that they showed, there were a number of slide tackles that were of questionable not quality, but the outcome could have been different if you're like
gonna conk. I don't know. How's that go again?
Concacaf.
It's a cute little apostrophe.
Yeah. So. Not in the game against Olympia, just in his highlight reel. Coming. He slides in on a lot of tackles and slides in pretty hard, and so you just keep that in the back of your mind to see if that's something that he needs to.
He's not going to accumulate more than Arriaga, who is the current walking yellow on the team.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, by the way, now we're a number of years in from Sounders pulling in players that have really fun sizzle reels on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm like, we had the Nico one. Remember, we were like, who the fuck's that guy? And then we were like, oh. And then Rui Diaz. You're like, how does that guy have so many header goals? Oh. Now.
Yeah. I mean, how many of those highlight reels are, set to terrible, techno music?
Terrible techno music.
Yeah.
Definitely not Sandstorm.
They're not. Yeah, they're not. They're not using some Daft Punk or something like that to.
Is Daft Punk good though?
I think they're good.
You're dating yourself.
I
right
am
now.
dating myself.
Yeah.
That is definitely a Gen X reference.
How's dating yourself go?
And usually not very well. But usually, those highlight reels, as we know, they just, they pick out, probably 6 or 7 good moments, and then, and that's kind of how scouting goes for some teams. Actually, they don't, teams that are not the Sounders and don't invest much. Yeah, they're going off of those things, or they're going off of what the agents tell them, because there's just so many players. It's impossible to scout every.
This is what Chris Henderson does for a living.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to do steps in every stadium in North, Central, and South America and fake y'all out that I'm signing players from Flamengo.
Yeah, I remember one time he tweeted out a picture of him from somewhere, and then like 30 seconds later he walked into Sounders training at Starfire. So he definitely enjoys that.
But the flip of that is he does that shit, and then the next 20 responses on Twitter are people guessing what stadium he's at.
Yeah.
And I'm like, y'all need jobs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, if you got lots of time, free time on your hands. Yes.
Thanks, Megan. Some jobs are boring. Yeah. Anywho, I don't even know where to go from there. So it's about 8:45. We could either talk about random shit that isn't important at all, like Girl Scout cookies have apparently started arriving. I don't have any, nor am I eating them right now. It's really disappointing.
Exactly.
So let's talk about this week. So a lot going on.
Yeah.
It is like Sounders soccer crazy town-ness this week. So tomorrow night, well, we joked about it offline right before the show. Every year we have ECS has an ops meeting with the team, and we meet with the stadium and the club and security and whatever, and talk about like whatever bullshit they're going to change in the stadium. Like, oh, if you're left-handed, you have to go through this aisle in the metal detector because your keys go in your left pocket. Whatever. So that's tomorrow, and then shortly thereafter is YachtCon.
YachtCon.
So you're going to YachtCon.
Yeah.
Are you dressing in a homecoming type fashion?
I don't think so. Well, okay, so
because what does that even mean?
Yes, yeah, I will be bringing something along.
You're gonna wear glittery shit.
Yes, I will have something along with me. I probably will not wear it directly into YachtCon, but I will change into something a little more festive for the occasion.
Okay.
Yes, my understand. Jeremiah has something very spicy planned.
So you'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah,
I will be there tomorrow. I will be bringing Cascadia Cup.
Nice.
So that's fun. So that's tomorrow night. Wednesday's a Wednesday. Thursday is Sounders.
Yeah.
JJ asks, is there anything that has to happen for us to have a strong roster on Sunday? Like if they get smoked, do you think they start pulling players?
Yeah, 100%. Smetcher said that in after training today. He's basically their goal is to score a couple of goals early on,
pull the players,
and then they will absolutely pull 3 players.
So like Rui Diaz hat trick in the first 3 minutes, he's coming out.
Yeah, he's coming out.
Yeah,
Rui Diaz and Morris and I don't know who would be the third. They would probably save one just in case something crazy happens. But yeah, you could absolutely see them if they get out, if they score a couple of goals.
So Alex Roldan up top. If it's 3-0 Sounders in the first half.
Well, I think
this would be a
Justin
great,
Dillon or Alfonso Capa Chavez would be pretty offended if that
or
happens.
whoever it is lets you bet on like just dumb shit.
Yeah.
Someone will get a handball with their left hand. So 3-0 Sounders. Who's the Rui Diaz sub?
Oh, probably Dillon, who's looked really good in training. So I think they would like to see what he can do. He got some run out last year. He got a couple of spot starts when they had like 12 players available.
Yeah.
And he's scored goals in preseason. He's looked good in training. So I wouldn't be 100% shocked to see him play significant minutes one of those games this weekend, because again, you're pushing your luck with starting.
Sure.
Let's say a same starting 11 back to back on short rest with only 6 weeks of preseason fitness built. So that's why I'm somewhat skeptical. As you rightly pointed out, he had a modifier in there when he was talking about starting the strongest team. I just don't think you can do that at this early stage of the season, and I'm sure they know that. And so I would expect you're going to see a mixed lineup in one of these two games. That's probably why it was somewhat disappointing that they gave up the 2 goals, because they probably could have started out with a mixed lineup and then kind of adjusted things for where they were if things went poorly, and you can bring on a couple of guys. But you probably could have rested a couple of them to start. So I still think you'll see you're going to see some rotation. It's just unavoidable this early in the season. So we'll see. I'm sure Smetzer would like to start as strong a lineup as he could for both games, but that's not realistic. And I'm sure most will understand. But you don't want to give up a drop points to Chicago, of all teams, in your first game, especially with the season being what it is, with them fighting on 3-4 total competitions. The regular season, CCL, Leagues Cup, or Campeones Cup, excuse me. That's only one game, but that's still another one. And then U.S. Open Cup. I mean, that's a lot of games, and you're going to have some rotation in there. And so you don't want to be dropping games early in the season to not very good teams who are not going to be full. Chicago signed a few DPs, but they're not. Some of them won't be here right away, and their offseason has been something of a mess. Just generally speaking, we talked about the jersey, the move to Soldier Field, selling tickets, and all that kind of stuff. And they didn't sign. They signed some DPs, but nobody who's like a big name.
I actually was reading that today. I was like, I don't know who any of these players are. And by the way, that could be okay.
Yes,
global soccer is a thing.
Yes, absolutely. It could be fantastic. But again, the other thing is 2 of those guys will not be here for that game. Right. Because one's going to finish up a season, and the other one was just announced, and it's highly unlikely they're going to get their visa process secured in the next 4 days. So Chicago's going to be not at full strength at all. And then what is the rest of their lineup? They got rid of Gaitan and Schweinsteiger, who wasn't anything great at the end, but
Schweinsteiger,
but he's gone, and Katai's gone, I think, as well. So their roster is pretty threadbare. At this point. Did McCarty play? Dax McCarty, he got traded. Was he on Chicago before that?
Yeah.
So they got rid of McCarty. Yeah, he's in Nashville now. I wasn't sure if he was. His most recent stop was Chicago.
So we've got a little bit of time left. Let's make some predictions. Sure. JJ has a couple of good comments and questions, which are smart. Let's do East-West playoffs. I don't know if we have to. I mean, it's the whole league makes the playoffs. So
7
whatever.
games. Yeah.
By the way, the NFL, I don't know if you saw, is doing that same thing. Probably. You're like, so you're going to shorten the preseason, extend the playoffs. Well, add another match game. So, as I look at East-West right now, 7 teams potentially or making the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I'd make a couple of tweaks to what I'm looking at here. I don't know if they're in alphabetical order.
I'm sure they are.
Probably is.
Yeah.
But I would say Atlanta, Cincinnati, DC, New York.
You think Cincinnati is going to make the playoffs?
FC. I do.
Wow.
Again, 7 of 13.
That's also fair, but as far as Cincinnati they've had such a terrible offseason.
I'm going to say Philadelphia.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Revs. Montreal.
All right, I'll go with to make the playoffs. Atlanta, the Crew, DC United, New England, New York City FC, Philly, and Toronto. I think that's 7.
You're gonna pull Toronto in.
Yeah, I think so. I
Okay.
mean, they have usually found a way to do it with the 2017 being or 2018 being an exception, but that was because they were in CCL and
Right.
just burned themselves out. So if Toronto doesn't make it, then I would probably lean towards. I'd say Inter Miami maybe has the best chance of pulling the first season.
You never know.
Playoff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I have
so
to
I'll say
tell
those
you-
7, and then you switch out Inter Miami with.
I think
with one of those
people
teams.
still, for some stupid reason, underestimate how much one player changes a team's luck.
Especially in
in
MLS.
MLS.
Especially in MLS.
And you saw it with Javinko. Like, not that Toronto was awful at all, frankly, but like, dude came in and was just disgusting.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, you brought in Pizarro? Like, come on. Like, Galaxy were trash. Their defense still trash.
Yes.
But you have Chicharito in LA.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be nuts.
Yeah.
So let's do the West.
All right.
Not Colorado.
Look, so they signed some good pieces, but
Yeah, but
I think they're probably not because the West is going to be very difficult again. I'll start from the bottom just because I'll go Seattle, Salt Lake, the LAs,
Both LAs.
yeah, both LAs,
Okay.
Minnesota, so I think that's 5.
Yep.
Dallas, and I think the Timbers are going to take a step back. So I'm going to go with a bit of a shocker just based on some hype I've been hearing and say Vancouver sneaks in there as the seventh team.
I'm going to say Vancouver, SKC, Sounders, RSL, both LAs, and Dallas. Houston wants to talk a lot of shit. No.
I mean,
I think Dallas has, like, long-term scary potential.
yeah, they gave the Sounders all they could handle in the playoffs last year and basically didn't lose anybody.
But have
and got a year
figured out
older.
the kid thing.
Yeah.
Like, Oscar Pareja's plan is finally coming to
Yes.
fruition.
Yeah, he left 3 years ago,
Yeah.
but and so yeah, I think it seems about right for me. We could talk about our friends to the South. I don't like their DP signings. They're not really inspired to me. They still have the same problems in the back, I think. And not really, Valeri's a year older. Who knows how many games he even starts? So, and Chara's getting older as well. So I'm just not
But now
really a
there's
fan.
multiple Charas.
Yeah. Yes.
So
Well, if you need two
Cool.
people to do the same job in
Great.
your lineup, that's not usually a
two
good
of you
sign.
can now get red cards all the times you want.
Yeah, so I'm not really impressed with them. Which means, of course, I'll win the Supporter Shield or something. But
I mean, it's MLS. So.
yeah, exactly. Who do you have for Supporter Shield?
Good question. I don't know. This season feels really different to me. Again, I think expansion changes everything. I like Sounders because I think the lineup is, when it's good, it's really good.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary.
Yeah, I think the problem for them is just they're in so many competitions and they're going to lose so many players.
I think
It's going to really kill
I think
them
it's
in the
probably
summer.
LAFC, Sounders. You can't argue with Atlanta.
Yeah, DeBoer is just somewhat uninspiring,
Yeah, but like his
but he'll
dirty players.
yeah.
Also, who lets Julian Gressel go?
Well, those just terrible.
DC's like, yes, we will give you a long-term extension.
That was just a crazy situation. I mean, I understand if it was
The East is bad, by the way.
it's not very good. It's not very good at all.
And the East was good for a couple years. It was
They were top heavy.
trash.
They were top heavy.
But you had 2-3 teams for sure that
Yeah.
were pretty strong.
Yeah.
But
And-
there were years where I was like, No. Like, you're not winning anything.
Yeah. Well, they won one title between 2008 and 2000, until Toronto won it in 2017. And the team that won it was Kansas City, which has gone back and forth from the east to the west.
Well, they were basically focused on getting the Red Bulls to win the Shield and then not do anything else afterwards. What's that? Is it good?
Interesting.
Oh, that's right there.
That's what we heard earlier.
That was a gunshot.
Yeah.
Cool.
Wow.
If you're in Renton, ahead of the curve,
You might want to get away
stay
from the curve.
inside. Because there's police right here, and we were like, oh, there was this weird bang noise. Actual gunshots. So that's cool.
Yeah. Lovely.
So, the last question. It's really hard to say U.S. Open Cup because it's U.S. Open Cup.
Yeah.
That said, based on how the schedule works out, I think if Sounders get through that first match,
Yeah.
it completely changes the complexion.
Yeah. Because, then they've got, it'll be nice to see them get over the hump because they've really struggled with that.
Because it'll be Portland.
Yeah. Probably. Although, no, it may not be Portland. I don't know if Portland got a bye. I think they might have, actually. Because, remember, 13 of the MLS teams are playing in the third round. The Sounders got a bye into the fourth round, based on their record. I got to say, I can't remember if Portland
Can we
is
make
one of those
Portland
got a
play
bye.
the first round just because Portland? They'll lose to Cal FC.
That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, I don't know. U.S. Open Cup,
100%
I'm
crap
not making any predictions at all.
No.
It's way too early.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. For supporters,
Picked MVP, so go
yeah. For supporters shield, like you say, the East is not very good, but that means that one of the good teams could beat up on everybody and just rack up
And
a ton
roll.
of points.
Yeah. But
I'm not
team, by the way, is New York City FC.
probably. I think that's.
Atlanta could be that team,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
I'm not. The things that New York City and Atlanta both have is I'm not sure about their coaching, and how that could
And they
affect
have
things.
unlimited money.
That's true. That's true. So I think New York City's because Toronto left, so if their new coach, Ronnie Delea, I think, if he comes in and is able to integrate and do everything he wants to do, then I would say they're probably the odds-on favorite. LAFC as well because they are about to get bounced from Champions League.
Yeah,
which
and
means
then
that
they're
they
just
don't.
going to run.
Yeah, and they don't have to do the Leagues Cup,
Right.
so they're just U.S. Open Cup, and that's just a standard competition. So they're
Speaking of
set up to
coaches,
run.
for a second, and I know we're at 9, but we'll run a little hot tonight. If you're the coach of FC Cincinnati and you're in the locker room and music is on, what lyrics do you just not repeat out loud if you're a white person?
I can think of one.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Yeah, Jans is his name. Yeah, was not obviously very long for this world. Yeah, I talked to the MLSPA about this. They were pretty adamant that the singing to the lyrics meme that was out there, that was all he did, was just so far from the truth that it.
So
they were
worse
yeah,
than
it was
that?
worse. It was 100%
That makes
worse.
it a lot worse.
Yeah.
Like,
They said there were 3 or 4 incidents over the course of his tenure, short though it was.
I mean, again, I tweeted, I was like, if you had racially insensitive comments in Ohio in bingo, you win. Like, because, yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
not great.
Yeah, but he's gone. He apparently he agreed to resign, so they probably paid him a few bucks to go away, so they didn't end up with another Petke situation, suing them. And yeah, he's gone. Yeah, I'm good. Thanks. And he's gone and soon to be forgotten, I'm sure.
Cool. Oh, that was.
Should we do
not
predictions?
great. Predictions for this week. We should do that.
Yeah.
So 2 matches: Thursday versus Olympia, Sunday versus Chicago.
Sunday, I'm going to say, or Thursday, I'm going to say 3-1 to the Sounders. pretty comfortable. They'll get 2 in the first half, and then they'll kind of just see things out in the second half. Goals, let's say Morris with 2, and we'll go Rui Diaz with 1 after his kind of iffy showing on.
He got marked out.
Yeah, and he missed a bunch of chances that
Yeah.
he should have. But so I think he'll come back.
His
with a
hair
good
looked
performance.
really good, though.
Well, that is important.
He does look cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 2-1 Sounders Thursday. Rui Diaz brace.
Race. Sunday, boy, it's tough to say, but against Chicago,
64-0
Yeah.
Sounders.
Chicago's not good, and even MLS being MLS at some points, and if the Sounders, even if they have to rotate, maybe that costs them a goal, but I'm going to go 3-1 to the Sounders on Sunday.
I'm going to say
as well.
1-0 Fry to Rui Diaz.
You're desperate for that Fry assist to start off the
Fry
season.
assist. Who doesn't want that?
Yeah.
Really?
Mhm.
No, 1-0 for real. Rui Diaz again.
Okay.
I just think dude's hungry, and he's so fun. Yeah, wanna bring it on. Yeah, I don't know. The season's gonna start real hot, and then all of a sudden there's like more CCL.
Yeah.
And by the way, if we have to go to Montreal, I'm gonna be super pissed.
There was a non-zero chance I'd be able to go to Costa Rica for that game. There's a 0 chance
Also,
I'll
you
go
could
to
fly
Montreal.
on Alaska.
Yeah.
Psh,
Yeah.
that sounds amazing. Any other season predictions? Broad comments?
No, the CBA got done, so there's not that hanging over our heads. There's no expansion really to talk about. The only other things are lawsuits, which maybe we could talk about on a future episode. And the women's national team.
We could talk about the women's national team. I did look at that T-shirt. I'm going to try and order it and have it by next week.
Nice.
I'll let you know.
Maybe
There's
we'll
a lot going on this week, though.
Yeah.
So we got to Thursday and then sorted a Sunday.
Yeah.
But there's, YachtCon tomorrow, Sounders on Thursday, Sounders on Sunday. By the way, new ECS beer from Hellbent. It's out. If you know, then you know. Twin Star Lager, because heaven forbid we didn't call it something witty.
Yeah.
Pretty good. So check it out.
I might try one of those.
So hit up Fuel et al. Afterwards on Sunday afternoon after the game. There'll be some cool stuff. What else? Oh, there's a really good ECS mentality gear hoodie that's only available till Monday of next week. So if you want it, it's on the site. Get it.
Awesome. Well, I think we should do this again next week.
Maybe we'll have a show.
Yeah.
I guess. Cool. All right. Well, we made it to 9:06. Should we sit here and just banter for 30? No. All right. Have a good night. Thanks, y'all. Thanks, Berliner. Thanks, Mickey. See you later, I guess. Maybe. Ish.